Hello everyone. In this video, we will discuss craniosynostosis. We will discuss in detail non-syndromic craniosynostosis and we will make separate video for syndromic craniosynostosis. Coming to non-syndromic craniosynostosis, which are more common, 50% of the patient are sagittal craniosynostosis, 25% coronal craniosynostosis, Metopic Craniosynostosis 15% and Lambdoid 1 to 5%. There is also pansynostosis. If it occurs prenatally, the patient develops clover-leaf deformity, or if occurs during infancy, the term is progressive postnatal pansynostosis. The symptoms are more severe if craniosynostosis occur during prenatal period. There is also a Virchow's law which states that in case of fused suture, there is decreased growth in parallel direction and increased growth in perpendicular direction. So, in case of sagittal craniosynostosis, there is increased AP anterior posterior length. In case of metopic craniosynostosis, the anterior part is keel-shaped formed, not properly developed. In case of lambdoid craniosynostosis, this part is less developed, and in case of a unicoronal craniosynostosis, this part is less developed. Now, coming to classification of craniosynostosis. Craniosynostosis can be single suture or multiple sutures. Single suture is further divided into non-syndromic, which accounts for 85%, and syndromic, which accounts for 15%. In multiple suture craniosynostosis, syndromic is more common, accounting for 75%, and non-syndromic accounting for 25%. Few very important single suture syndromic craniosynostosis are Minke syndrome, Apert syndrome, Seether-Jorgen syndrome, and craniofrontonasal syndrome. Coming to craniosynostosis, the main problem arising due to craniosynostosis is it may cause increased intracranial pressure, which leads to decreased neurocognitive function, blindness, and increased risk of Chiari malformation. Sometimes craniosynostosis is also associated with mid-facial retrusion. So, during sleep, there is obstructive sleep apnea and increased carbon dioxide in blood, which causes cerebral vasodilation and thus leading to increased ICP. Sometimes craniosynostosis is associated with stenosis and complete sigmoid or jugular sinus complex closure, which leads to venous hypertension and increased intracranial pressure. Intracranial pressure can be measured directly or indirectly. Directly is through transcranial monitor. Here we have to do 24 hours monitoring. Indirectly it is through fundoscopy, CT, MRI, ocular USG, OCT, NIS and VEP. If ICP is increased more than 20 millimeters of mercury, or if papilloedema is present, both are indications for surgery. But the problem is that these tests have high specificity but sensitivity is very less. Now coming to sagittal synostosis. Sagittal synostosis leads to Scaphocephaly. It is more common in male with ratio 4:1 and it is non-syndromic most commonly. Management depends on institution and surgeon preference in all cases of craniosynostosis. If the patient is under 5 months, the best technique will be endoscopic suturectomy with post-operative helmet. Here, there will be minimum blood loss, minimum mortality risk, as well as minimal stay in hospital. Other than that, if the age is under 7 months, we can also go for spring mediated distraction. If the child has more than 6 month age, we can also go for subtotal or total calvarial remodeling. Here, frontal bossing can be left as it is because when the child grows, it corrects naturally. Low temporal and parietal barrel stave osteotomy is done. Barrel osteotomy is done so as to give proper convexity to the parietal part, and anterior posterior length can be shortened by resecting portions of frontal and parietal bone at midline, and parietal bones are fragmented because it increases lateral convexity. After that, the second topic is metopic synostosis. Metopic synostosis leads to keel-shaped deformity, also known as trigonocephaly. Here, there is a small and flat frontal bone and anteriorly displaced coronal sulcus. Sutures. There is compensatory enlargement of the parietal elements. Parietal elements are compensatory enlarged. There is associated hypotelorism. Hypotelorism decreased distance between the eyes. There is strabismus and upslanting of the palpebral fissure. All these three included in trigonocephalic sequence. Management. If the child is less than 4 months, endoscopic suturectomy with post-operative cranial orthosis therapy can be given. If there is 4 to 7 month age, endoscopic suturectomy with spring-mediated distraction. This method also treats hypotelorism. Other methods include, in cases of high volume center and in older infants and children, we directly go for open fronto-orbital advancement. Here, V-shaped bandeau is expanded. Lateral flat segments are contoured to increase convexity. Parietal bone is horizontally out fractured using horizontal barrel staves, and temporalis muscle is advanced anteriorly. Temporalis muscle is advanced anteriorly and resuspended, and Galeria aponeurotica is scored to decrease tension on repair. In the final images, we can see the improvement in shape of the brow. The third topic is unilateral coronal synostosis. It leads to harlequin deformity. In harlequin deformity, there is compensatory bulge in ipsilateral squamous part of the temporal bone. So, in this case, this is the squamous part and there is bulge in squamous part of the temporal bone. There is contralateral bulge in frontal, parietal and occipital sides. There is flat ipsilateral frontal bone. Short in ipsilateral palpebral fissures, there is superior and posterior displacement of upper orbital rim and eyebrows, anterior displacement of malar eminence, and there is deviation of nasal roots towards the flat bone. There is chin point deviated to the contralateral side. In 80% of the cases, there is ocular torticollis, and in 50% of the cases, there is astigmatism. Coming to the management part, patient can be managed with endoscopic suturectomy with post-operative helmet. This procedure decreases ocular torticollis and astigmatism. We can also go for spring-mediated distraction. We can go for distraction osteogenesis, and we can also go for fronto-orbital enhancement, where there is frontal bone radial osteotomy and selective fractures are done. Bandeau contoured to increase convexity of the flat side of the face, and the sagittal overcorrection of bandeau and frontal bone is done, which decreases relapse. The last topic here will be the lambdoid synostosis. Lambdoid synostosis causes occipital flattening, and there is mastoid bossing and posterior inferior displacement of ear on the side of the fusion. Ear will be displaced below. and there is decreased height of the cranial vertex on ipsilateral side. Management. If less than 7 month age, minimally invasive techniques are used, such as endoscopic suturectomy and postoperative helmet. Distraction osteogenesis can also be done, and open remodeling is preferred in older children. Here, bilateral parietal occipital bone segments are elevated, and barrel stave osteotomy is done bilaterally for flattened basal occipital bone. After that, there is other confusing terminology such as deformational plagiocephaly. This is not a craniosynostosis. Here it is caused due to back to sleep campaign where it was done to decrease sudden infant death syndrome. The child was continuously lying on back, so there was flattening or abnormal shape development of the head. And other condition is congenital muscular torticollis. Here we have to rule out craniosynostosis, which can be done by using ultrasound or CT MRI. Coming to anthropic measurements, which can help distinguishing whether the head is normal or there is some plagiocephaly. The first is the cephalic index. Cephalic index measures width to length. Normal range is between 0.82 to 0.86. The other terminology is cranial vault asymmetry, CVA. It measures distance from long axis minus short axis. So the normally it should be less than 9 millimeters. And the other entity is cranial vault asymmetry index, which can be measured by long oblique minus short oblique upon long oblique into 100. But CVAI is not very relevant. Management. In management is based on early identification, and physical therapy and repositioning devices are very helpful. Other than that, in case of 0 to 4 month, custom made foam cups and cranial orthodesis are used. Thank you.